Live. All right, we are live. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool. And today, Jonathan, we've got two of our favorite people on the podcast.
It deserves a little applause right
here.
there.
Here we are. Yes, no guest today. We're gonna hold the show ourselves.
Yeah,
and I think
got
a little
while
flight
since we've
going
done
on.
A little flight, yeah.
We've been taking the week off instead of doing flights. It seems like, between travel and other stuff going on. So we're gonna be talking. Got a couple, random things that we found in the internets, and so we'll be talking about that. One thing that a friend of ours told us about that he actually then tested live with a friend of his. That's kind of cool. So we'll talk about that.
Very cool.
Actually, I just noticed that like 3 of my 5 are somewhat food related.
So, what does that say?
I guess I've been hungry today or this week. So, all right. Well,
one of them, I was looking through your list. One of them I thought was like completely going under, but apparently they're doing some rebranding.
Well, they might.
There'd be some good rebranding.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. So, all right. Well, let's get started with our what do we call it? Our
beverage, our childish beverage, our juvenile beverage segment.
Yeah. All right. What do you have?
So I've got nothing new on my end. I've got a Guinness today. I heard an interview this week. Somebody was talking about Guinness, and it made me want a Guinness. But then I was
good
like,
marketing.
Yeah, I know. It was like they didn't even pay for that. It was somebody just talking about it. I don't know if it was the topic of England or what have you, but Guinness beer came up. Said, "Oh yeah. Just had a Guinness the other day. Fantastic, very refreshing." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's been a while since I've had one."
So, we get some weird beers on here. It's nice to go back to just a solid staple every once in a while.
Solid classic.
Yeah.
Solid classic. But here's the thing, Sean, I was reading, I didn't realize this. So Guinness is now one of the things they're doing, because I'm not going to read it. Everybody knows about Guinness, but what I will mention about them is they're doing some lifestyle branding now. So what they're doing is the iconic beer maker is looking to expand the brand by tapping lifestyle apparel brand. They call it Sunday Swagger for a new collaboration that will allow fans not only to drink the beer, but on the course and the clubhouse, but to wear the logo. So they got some golf apparel coming out, and I got to share this. Actually, some of it looks pretty good. I might have to check this out. Let's see. Why do I have another StreamYard?
I don't know, man. I don't know what you're doing over there.
Exit that. But check that out. Look at that hat, man. I'd wear that hat.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
You have to
with the Guinness logo, you got the little what instrument is that? Is the harp? Is that a harp or something like that? But that looks pretty sharp. I would probably wear something like that on the golf course.
Yeah, like the solid with a little bit of paint splatter on the other side of the shirt. Like, it's like half super conservative, half John Daly, like going on,
Got a little Colorado Deion Sanders going there, I think.
Yeah. Looks pretty good.
So, but yeah, that's what I'm having today. Nice, crisp, and cool.
All right.
Right out of the cooler.
All right. So I have got on my end, I have got a Shiner Lemonade Shandy, good old Texas beer, Shiner Bock. This is a Shiner Shandy.
Ooh.
It says, when life gives you lemons. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's when life gives you lemons, make beer. Brewed with agave, premium 2-row and wheat malts, and Spetzel Brewery's very own. I don't, if I got friends in Texas and I said Spetzel or Spotzel, Texas wrong, like, I apologize. Anyway, yeah, it's they use real lemonade in it and cane sugar. along with the beer. So it's only 4.2%.
Oh, look at that. Look at that bottle move on the.
I know. Wasn't that cool?
That was cool. That's pretty. I've never seen that.
That's some fancy web stuff right there. Good webmaster. Wow.
Yeah.
So this is only 4.2%, 7 on the bitterness. It's kind of a sweet beer. This is like perfect, like on the pontoon boat, next to the pool, anything like that. Like perfect pool time drink for that. It looks like Mountain Dew.
Oh, wow.
If you pour it in a glass. I mean, it's really, you should just drink it out of the can or bottle.
Yeah.
Really doesn't need a glass. But so, yeah. So that's what I've got going today.
That looks delicious. So, another month, the pools will be open. And that looks like the perfect cocktail to be.
Yeah. I'm hoping ours are open. I'm hoping ours are open next week. It's going to be upper 90s here next week. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a little early. Usually it's Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. Well, if you got a private pool, they're usually open. So, but our neighbors are selling their house and they've already moved. So we may just go over there because I can see their pool from here.
Fill the pool.
Yeah. So, hey, just keeping the water moving. Don't want it to stagnate.
Absolutely. I'll just be your pool boy for, I guess, until closing.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, let's cheers it up.
Cheers. Oh, man. Love me a good Guinness.
Yeah. So this, what do you rate it? 1 to 5 pints.
I think I pretty much go with the 4.7 or 4.8 every time on this one. So.
Yeah. I'm going to give this one. I mean, this, even though it's only 4.2%, you could go through a 6-pack of these pretty quick. Like it tastes like almost like a lemonade soft drink.
Yeah.
Like you get a little bit of fizz, but you don't get a lot of beer taste. So
those shandies are different. They don't taste.
Yeah.
It's not a. I don't know. To me, they don't taste like a beer at all. So
yeah, and it's very easy, very light. So for what it is, I give it a 4.8 because it's if you're gonna have a lemonade shandy, like this is about how you'd want it. So
I like it. I'll have to find those. Pick one up.
I mean, Shiner's nationwide now, I think. So
yeah.
Used to be just in Texas, but then they got greedy, I guess. They wanted the rest of the country. So
let me guess, Budweiser bought them out or something.
Probably. Yeah. I don't want to know if that's the case. All right. Well, let's jump in. Where do we want to start?
Let's start with the eatery, the restaurant.
Okay, yeah. Let's start with that one. So, I was just scrolling through the old internets, and I saw this little, I think it was an Instagram reel or something, Facebook, and it was like a news segment, and they're thinking of rebranding, or they trying to rebrand Hooters.
Yeah.
And making it PG-13, basically, is what the article said.
Okay.
So, like, what is your first reaction to that? Well, I mean, we would probably consider it, I don't know. PG? I mean, today, it seems like it would be PG-13, but I guess maybe they thought it was R, but
it's I see. So they're in their mind, they're trying to make it a little more.
They're trying to go a little bit more family.
Ah, I see. I see. Okay.
Trying to expand the demographics a little bit besides, whatever their current demographic is.
I've been to a Hooters in probably 20 years.
See, and that's the point, right? Because you're not taking your wife and kids there.
No.
Right.
When you're a family man, those days are over.
Those days are gone. Right. So they're trying to rebrand to do that. So it was interesting because some of the comments were like, well, if you're going to rebrand, like they're taking away like the bikini nights. Apparently that was the thing. I haven't been there in forever either. So so that was the thing. They had these bikini nights, right? So if the current outfits weren't skimpy enough or tight enough, they just went to bikinis. Well, now they're taking those away. And somebody in the comments made a good point. It's like, well, if you're trying to improve sales, wouldn't you do more bikini nights and not less? Like, if that's your core demographic, like, I don't even know how you can keep the name and the menu and all that without.
No. Yeah. You're pigeonholed into that.
I mean, you might as well close down and start something new.
Right.
At this point. Like it.
Yeah.
Like there's a time to rebrand, but to me it seems like that's just
they're trying to be a Twin Peaks, maybe, I guess.
Yeah,
like a
but even Twin Peaks is similar, but I mean, I don't know, are they a little bit more family?
I
They're
think
not
so.
quite as obvious, but they're still pretty obvious. Because that's
Yeah,
Colorado chain, right?
Yeah, it's a little they're not as I would say it's a little more conservative.
Not as flirty.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
As far as the way they behave and stuff. And the atmosphere is a little more like mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the food. I think the food's better too, or so I hear.
Well, maybe that's the plan. Maybe they're going to try to knock off Twin Peaks.
Yeah, who knows?
So yeah. So if you were in charge of rebranding Hooters, what would you do? Knowing that their sales are down with the current model.
And I think I would probably, if I had no ethical, I had no moral compass whatsoever, I would probably just embrace and go full throttle, even more.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I don't know how you can rebound from, people already see you that you've been Hooters forever. So,
unless you're going to completely change the name, at that point, you're like, it's just a new restaurant. It's not a rebrand. It's totally new. Right.
Yeah.
So it seems like you just take the locations, take the sign off. Like if you're going that route, you might as well just take the sign off, start over, new menu, save your real estate. They have decent real estate and just put something new up that's more family friendly. But don't I think this is the idea. Don't tiptoe one way or the other.
Mm-mm.
You can't, this is not the kind of thing where you can just kind of sort of rebrand and clean up your image.
So many examples of companies have tried to do that,
well, I mean, embrace JCPenney, we've talked about them before when they went through their Apple phase, they brought in the guy from Apple and they're like, no sales, no, everything's even
no
number
coupon,
prices,
no sales.
coupons. We're going to put more space in the stores, and
it just got rid of all the blue hairs coming in.
Just absolutely blanc. It just absolutely bombed.
So. The people that knew them, that trusted that brand the most, they completely just shunned. The ones that were their core audience, their core group, just shunned, just to be more like, kind of like Apple. We want to be, but. Boy, the effort to do that. I mean, you have to.
Well, they remodeled stores and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what Hooters is going to have to do. So if you're going to go through all that expense, just start over. You've got a corporate office somewhere that has your accounting people. You've got a lot of cost covered that a startup can't do.
Yeah.
And that's also part of the problem is you got all that overhead. But it seems like if you got decent locations. You're going to lose some money for about a month while you refurbish everything. You got to put money into it, but I just don't seem like that's a good idea for a rebrand, that you can sort of tiptoe and try to just sort of make it better or different. Just seems like a recipe for disaster.
Cracker Barrel did that. They're, started doing alcoholic drinks and, they're getting away from their traditional,
they're going a little bit more modern in some of their stores. I saw a couple pictures of that.
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see that because you don't go to. It depends on how much they change their menu.
Yeah,
but I would still go to Cracker Barrel if they modernized it a little bit, as long as they kept the menu basically the same.
Yeah,
I noticed they had the picture I saw of Cracker Barrel had booths in it, and instead of just tables, because I didn't even think about it till I saw the picture. I was like, oh yeah, there's no booths at Cracker Barrel.
Nope.
But now
it's all tables.
I guess now there is going to be. So if the picture I saw was if the picture I saw was legitimate.
Sure.
But it was definitely a little bit more modern feel to it. Not as country.
Yeah.
I do feel like Cracker Barrel feels a little theme parky.
Yeah.
As far as the look and feel of it.
Yeah, all the stuff on the walls
but if they kept the menu the same and
well, they've changed the menu. I think they've kept some of their core stuff, but they've got a lot of new stuff.
We don't have them out here that I know of. So
Okay. Yeah. They've added a lot of new things that aren't traditional.
Yeah.
And mimosas and alcohol and stuff like that, which I think they offended a lot of people. I mean, that's, a lot of people that went there, going back to JC Penney.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a good question then. It's like, how do you expand your audience base?
Yeah.
When you can see sales start going down.
Yeah.
Which that's the only reason people would tend to rebrand, and or you're just flat and you want to expand. Like, how do you do that without losing your core audience?
I know people, people in the South that would be like, I ain't going to Cracker Barrel anymore. And I literally know people that won't go there anymore because they serve alcohol. They stop. Yeah. Yep. Boom. So, how much of that, how much of that audience they lost, who knows, and how much they gained.
And what do they gain? Yeah. That's the question. Now, 20 years ago, that would have been a disastrous move.
Right.
But now, I mean, I think everybody's a little bit more lenient on that kind of stuff in the South.
Yeah.
They may not order it in the restaurant, but they're at least aware that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Hooters, like, it's like, that's a tough place to be, to try to rebrand, because it's not just like a stylistic rebrand.
Yeah.
Right. It's your core audience is changing. Like Amazon just did a whole rebrand of their fonts and their their colors. They kind of did some new stuff with their fonts and all their to kind of streamline everything across. No big deal. Like, most people won't even notice it happened.
Sure.
But yeah, to do something like what Hooters is trying to do, it's almost like Jag. It's like Jag went totally in a different direction. So yeah, it's tough. I don't know how I'd hate to be the CEO that has to figure that out.
Well, they're hiring somebody else. They're hiring a consulting firm that comes in and says, "Oh, this is what you need to do."
Yeah, and they can blame it on them when it doesn't work. CEO can be like, "Well, it wasn't my fault," although it's always the CEO's fault because he chose the firm, or somebody on his watch chose.
He made the decision.
So
who knows?
Yeah. If you got a great idea for how to rebrand Hooters, like, send us an email, let us know. We'll pass it on. We'll take it in there personally if we need to. And, give it starting with
their menu.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been forever since I've been there, but I never went there for the wings. That's for sure.
Yeah. I didn't know they had food.
I guess they have appetizers.
Yes. Lots of appetizers. Comes in pairs. All right. Moving on.
So there's a Mercedes. You were showing me a Mercedes, and I actually downloaded this just so we can show the audience, Sean. So I'm gonna add this to the.
Hello, I'd like to order French fries.
All right. Well, let's set the scene up for those people that can't see it. Right.
Yep.
So you've got a fairly attractive young woman who is in a library setting. You could see that on the commercial. So we'll just go with that. Go ahead and hit the old play.
All right. Okay, here we go.
Hello, I'd like to order French fries, a burger, and a milkshake.
So the librarian's looking at her like she's crazy. So the blonde is looking around.
I'd like to order French fries, a burger, and a milkshake.
And then the tagline, it goes to white and black text. It says, "Beauty without brains is nothing." Like, that is just...
That's awesome.
That is an awesome commercial.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I love that.
And if you didn't know going in it was Mercedes, like, that's one of those commercials that would stop you. I don't know how old the commercial is.
Yeah.
That's like Super Bowl worthy right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, you have no idea where this is going.
Yeah.
And then you see at the end, beauty without brains is nothing. And Mercedes. It's like, that was so good. Like,
I didn't know. I didn't know how old that commercial was. So, I mean, so it's definitely not recent, but
no, you can see the car they put at the end. It looks probably early 2000s, something like that.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, I love that, the internet resurfaces a lot of this stuff that you kind of forget about.
Yeah.
But you can do that with a lot of I love the
Could you get away
misdirection.
with that today, though? Could they get away with a commercial like that?
I don't know. That'd be tough. But like,
I don't think they
if you
could.
go to the comments, like a lot of people like it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the people liked the ad. Now, would they buy a Mercedes? Like, are they willing? Is Mercedes willing to take a chance on that kind of backlash?
Yeah.
I would say that if you're gonna make fun of anybody, and an attractive white blonde person is probably the safest thing.
Yeah, they could get away with that.
You know, you probably wouldn't want to put a black woman in the ad. You probably wouldn't want to put, you know, it'd have to be like 100-year-old stereotype. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be interesting to see if they could pull that off today. But I think what's cool about it and what you can take away from it is the misdirection and like just not even the misdirection. It's just like the uncertainty of like what is going on here, the curiosity that keeps you watching. And then that punchline at the end is just perfect. So
that's good.
All right.
So I'm going to share one on emotional marketing. I thought this was pretty cool. I kind of saved this for our next flight, but let's see if I can share it. This is, oh, here we go.
Like your boy earned his money this week.
Seriously, he's got some work to do. Anyway, here's this new like a machine where have you seen this?
Yeah, I did see that. Yes, yeah, that's cool.
So if it's a cool way to give. So if you're giving, you're not just making a transaction with your credit card. It's an interactive screen where you can, when you swipe your card. Let me go back to the beginning.
Yeah. So if you, the people listening, if you imagined like one of those signs in a mall that the map is on of the mall, right? Like one of the big, it's either got the map or the ads on it. So on one side, this thing, it's probably 8 feet tall, 4 feet wide. And then on the top, it says free them. And it's got a picture of like hands that are tied together.
Yeah.
And then you take your credit card and you swipe your credit card and you cut the rope of the person's hands.
Yep.
So you're actually interacting with the video as you're donating.
Yep.
And they did other one. There was some for like bread where you cut a slice of bread to feed them. And so what were they? It was like free them and feed them and a couple others. But yeah, the way you actually interact with the image, that's cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. So it just adds another dimension. And it's just, I mean, like the slicing the bread, that is just so cool when you do that.
Yeah.
I would love to see one of these set up somewhere.
Yeah. And what's cool about it is like when you see somebody do it, like, and I can imagine like if you're with kids, especially a kid that kind of understands a little bit what's going on.
Yeah.
They can read maybe 6th, 7th, 8th grade, they're like, that's cool. But even like kids that can't, like there was just a younger kid being shown in that, like they can see that you're putting a hand on the screen and it's slicing the bread. So any kid's going to like that. So, I mean, I don't know if they did that intentionally, but you think about the marketability of like a kid seeing that and like then, pulling on their parents' arms, like, can we do that?
Yeah.
Like I could see that happening a lot in a busy, a busy marketplace where that would be sitting.
Well, yeah, it drives up. I mean, it's more than just a transaction now. It's just that satisfaction of seeing something like that taking place when you do a swipe.
That'd be cool. If how the grocery store or PetSmart or wherever, like they always ask you, do you want to donate $1 to, save a dog or whatever? It'd be cool if they had a little thing, if somehow they could make that interactive while you're swiping or when you press a button, or if you had to run your finger down it. I know it'd have to be a whole new display, but that would probably increase interaction quite a bit.
Yep.
So that interacting, and we've talked about it so many times on this show, like how experience marketing, is the wave of the future. Like people want to be interactive with the stuff we're doing. And the more digital we get, the more that physical feeling is going to be important.
Yeah. Yeah. Those ads get me every time. The feed the orphans or the animals that are, save the, save the stray puppies or the dogs. I mean, it hits you every time. And this is just another way of adding to that. I mean, you just, you kind of make people almost invested in it when they run that credit card through. So
it's kind of, it's really a form of, in the old direct mail days, you would have stickers that you peeled off to put on the order form. That would be like, you peel off the yes sticker and you put it on there. Yes, I want to help, support wildlife or whatever.
Yeah.
And you would literally peel a sticker off, put the sticker on the order form. Obviously, if you're sending the order form back in, you don't need to say yes. You don't need a yes sticker, but it's the interaction that helps solidify the sale in those things. So having that type of interactive device. And I think that's something, yes, we have clicks now.
Yeah.
But we don't have a lot of that physical interaction in marketing these days.
No, that satisfaction of that the physical transaction of actually, handing, everything's done with a card today or, digitally.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, when you hand somebody, like you hand somebody money or you hand somebody a gift, there's something there. That's a physical transaction. There's a physical, you get there's actually some dopamine from that when you're helping people out, but I don't know how much, and maybe this is tapping back into, that satisfaction or that amount of dopamine that you're, from giving when you see that or experience that, when you go through it. So, as opposed to just swiping a card reader, it's like, okay.
I wonder, obviously that is not a cheap thing to set up.
No.
But I bet it paid for itself if you put it in the right places.
Yeah. Especially people watching that as they walk by, you see somebody swiping that and you see the visual of the bread or the bound hands being cut.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And like I said, I think it would be a huge number of kids that would prompt their parent to do that.
Yeah.
It's almost like when a kid sees a wishing well or anything else, it's like, ooh, can we throw a penny or a fountain?
Right.
Like there's something about that.
Oh yeah.
It just really connects.
That's something, that's geared towards millennials, man. That'll hook in like Gen Z or millennials in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah. That's brilliant marketing.
Yeah.
That's like it seems like, I wonder what agency was behind that. Seems like very much like a Ogilvy and Mather, like Rory Sutherland kind of thing. But I don't know that that's who it was. So I don't want to say that's who it was, but I would be interested to know who was behind that. Cause that's pretty slick.
It is.
Wasn't Don Draper.
No, it wasn't a Don Draper campaign for sure. No. I know what Don Draper would have.
Yeah, he'd be doing something similar with maybe a Victoria's Secrets ad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like that.
You could see that, the bra strap. We'll stop there. But, it's interesting. You'd think you'd see one of those in an airport or something like that, eventually pop up.
Yeah, I wondered, now that somebody's kind of figured that out, like there's so many things you could do with it. It's like, that was obviously very philanthropic and charity, but man, there's all kinds of services and things like that you could create just that little bit more of interaction, to get that sale done, make it a little bit more interesting. And then at some point, it just becomes, that's what everybody's doing. And it loses the thrill again.
Yeah. And what's cool about those machines is you can do, it's not tailored to one particular, it looks like you can put multiple, experiences, like whether, as long as, you time it just right on the, on the video side of things when somebody.
Yeah. It could be almost any product. If you just think about it a little bit, you could, you could have it could be for taxes, like how to lower your taxes, or
swipe to give.
Yeah. But obviously it works best if you're not purchasing something, you're kind of giving something, but I could see a lot of different ways you could use it. So it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about
maybe Hooters could when they're rebranding, could they use something like that, Sean? Like
right down the middle.
I mean, we're talking about like ideas for Hooters. Maybe that's maybe they need to be looking into something like that.
You could put a card reader right there on every waitress or server, whatever they're called these days.
Right.
Yeah, swipe your card here. No. That would probably help. All right. So let's talk about the restaurant's offer that David told us about. He read about, and then in true David Dutton fashion, he went out and found somebody to implement it for him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So this was the idea that, you know, not every restaurant, but a lot of restaurants out there have a table that is just not the table you want to sit at. It's the worst table in the restaurant.
Yep.
Right. There's a place here that's a really good restaurant. I enjoy going to it, but there is a table that's pretty near the front door. And in the middle of the summer, every time somebody opens the door, you get this blast of hot air come through.
Yep.
And, you know, it just doesn't make the meal pleasant.
Right.
So this was the idea is that, and I think he read it in Fortune. Is that where it was? I think Fortune magazine. Somebody had put 50% off. If you eat dinner at the worst table in the restaurant, you get 50% off.
Right.
And this was like an anytime deal. So anytime the restaurant was open, 50% off if you're willing to sit at the worst table. And so David had a friend of his who owns a little restaurant. And it was one, from what I understand, it's almost like a little diner type thing, pretty small.
Yeah. Yep.
And the table that they were thinking about is right by the front door. And it's also right where people, where people are lining up to pay and somebody's butt's like right on your table, at the end of your table type thing.
Right.
You know, so that's the table. And with, what was it, the first day, like people were literally fighting over the table.
Over the table. Just get the 50% off.
Yeah. Crazy. I mean, so simple. And now people are waiting for the table that nobody wanted just because of that 50% off.
50%. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it surprises me because my first thought was like, I don't want that table. Even if it's
you're not the coupon guy.
Yeah, I'm not the coupon guy, but it's when I eat out, it's part of the eating out is not just fueling up. It's supposed to be an experience. You're having conversation. You don't want to be interrupted, or you're in an environment along with the food. But so I was like, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, there's a certain segment. Never discount the fact that there's a certain segment of people that say, yeah. I would think that this works best with lunch, during the lunchtime than dinner time.
I don't know. I think it depends a little bit on the style of the restaurant.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not. But I just think there's certain people that they want a deal, man. And they're willing to.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I mean,
now it may not be both people or all four people that are eating at that table, but whoever's buying,
I would do that for a lunch. I would probably do that for lunch. I would say, yeah, put me at the bad table. I don't care,
Yeah.
Because it's typically, you're just in there for lunch real quick and then you're out.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. But now that's the table with the wait now, though. Like literally people are waiting.
It's a premium table.
It's crazy.
The worst tables become the table people want.
Yeah. It's like the coupon shoppers that build rooms on the side of their house for all the stuff that they buy with coupons. Cause I don't understand that whole coupon game where people spend $500 at the grocery store and they get $2 back and like all this stuff. I don't even understand how all that works. I don't either.
Yep.
But there's a crowd out there that's the dopamine rush for them. Getting the 50% off, getting the stuff is like, that's better than the food for them.
Yep. Yeah.
And in every market, in every neighborhood, there's those people. So, these people that, you probably wouldn't get, the full price for anyway. Like they're never going to come to your restaurant otherwise.
Yeah.
So I'm curious though, how that works. Like, is that restaurant owner still making money at 50%?
Well, he's losing money on that table, but
But enough people might come in and be like, "Oh, I couldn't get that table, so I'll go ahead and eat." And
might as well. Price. Yeah, that's a loss leader right there.
Yeah.
But
you hope, or at least break even, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's basically what, buy one get one free.
Now, if they come in, it's like there's always the loophole. It's like, the club that I belong to, you gotta spend so much money per quarter. And they tell you, we just want to let you know this doesn't apply to alcohol, So I don't care how much you spend on alcohol. This doesn't apply to your food bill. So, same situation with a restaurant. You come in and they're like, well, that 50% off doesn't apply to your beverage, if you get alcoholic drinks or whatever. So it's probably just, it's the food. Yeah. And so maybe they're losing money on the food, and, maybe they're selling more beer. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah.
So
be interesting. We'll have to check back in and find out some of those answers.
Yeah. I think it's smart though. I think why not try something like that? I mean, a restaurant owner, man, they're always trying to find ways to bring people in, especially during, a kind of a softer, the economy's a little tougher.
Well, if nothing else, what it does is it takes away the negative reviews that you might get for that table.
Yeah.
That's another side of it that, is kind of priceless, right? So if before you were getting 1-star reviews from people who sat at that table because, the line was backed up to their table, or there was every time you open the door, you get a hot blast or a cold blast, whatever. I could see you getting a lot of bad reviews for that.
Mm-hmm.
But now, if that's the worst table and there's maybe a little sign on it that says 50% off when you sit at the worst table in the restaurant.
The worst table, yeah.
Like, going in, oh, this table has problems, but I'm getting 50% off, so I'm not going to complain about it.
Yep.
So even if that's the only purpose, then it probably makes money for itself. And it becomes a little bit of a
oh yeah, he gets some publicity
around town.
Yeah.
It's like,
see
what Leroy's doing over at his place?
Like, and it may get some free local press, from the local, these little local reporters or the little local press is looking for stories,
Yep.
So he may get some press out of this, and who knows? I mean, he may get more bang for his buck than he expected.
Yeah. I do it.
That everybody's starting to shove the tables next to the doors now and like making these wobbly tables. Let's cut that leg a little shorter, make.
Yeah. And I think the next step though is to have a 50% premium for the best table in the restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the summer, it's the one right under the vent where the air conditioner is. Right. So that's the premium table. It's plus 50% on your bill.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's talk about, we got 2 things left. We'll do one more food one, then we'll move on.
Oh, I love it.
Last one.
More food. Yeah. I'm hungry.
So Domino's Pizza, they do some pretty creative stuff. I don't know if you're a Domino's fan.
Nope.
I still love Domino's. I've worked there twice. I still love Domino's Pizza. We had Domino's Pizza for our rehearsal dinner in our wedding. That's how broke we were.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
We had Domino's Pizza in the church basement for our rehearsal.
That'll work.
When you're 22, 23 years old, like nobody cares.
Who cares? It's pizza. I mean,
it was pizza. But what Domino's Pizza has done is they are filling potholes around their stores in some cities because the city won't do it.
Yeah.
And then they're stamping it with their logo once it's filled. So people,
that's awesome.
They're driving around town. They know there's that pothole there. And then one day it's not there. And, you can kind of see it as you're driving and you see the big red, white, and blue Domino's logo.
Yeah.
Plus the press. I mean, just to get the press. Yeah. Like the city wouldn't fix this, so we did.
Yeah.
It's like, that's pretty cool.
So they're literally filling the pothole with what? Asphalt.
Yep.
And then they're stamping.
They hired their own asphalt crew.
Yeah.
They hired contracted with somebody, and then they had a stamp, painted stamp where they either stamped it or spray painted. I wasn't sure which.
That's awesome.
But it's like, we filled this hole. It's like, that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
I like it. It's pretty ballsy. It's
Mhm.
like, it's like, hey, your city won't take care of it, but we will.
We will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good for their drivers. The drivers aren't hitting
Yeah.
potholes and things like that. And I don't know how many places they did this. They do a lot of gimmicky stuff in one city so they can do an ad about it
Oh, sure.
that never happens in other cities. But still, it's pretty smart. And it did get free press. And,
Yeah.
we're
All you
talking
need is
about it.
one story locally, and you can blast that thing out.
Exactly. It's kind of like the old Five Guys, or not the old,
Mhm.
but like Five Guys, right? They get the burger award in one city, and then they put that article in
All
every
over
restaurant,
every store.
and then
Yep.
and then it just feeds itself.
Yep.
Because if a reporter walks in, like you said, and they see articles from 13 other cities, they're like, "Oh, we could write an article about this place."
Yeah.
And then it gets put up and
Yeah.
reproduced around all the other franchises.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I always love that marketing from Five Guys where they just inside the restaurant they just tooted their own horn. I mean,
why not?
I haven't been to a Five Guys in forever either. I'm afraid to go see what their prices are these days.
Oh, it's outrageous. That's one burger place that I'll go every now and then.
Yeah.
You'll spend $20 on burger and fry.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's
they were expensive anyway, but now with the last 4 or 5 years, man,
but it's all a la carte. So it's like the more you add on, like the more you add on to your burger, that bill goes up, man.
Yeah.
It goes up, and I like onions and all sorts of stuff on the jalapeno, you name it.
Yeah.
And so that makes my bill go up big time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good burger though. I mean,
it is
still one of my favorite burgers, but
yeah.
All right. So last thing, and I can't remember. So I have this notes tab that I use on my phone where I try to capture some of these ideas. And this last one, I can't remember if we talked about, I just forgot to erase it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure we have at least one new viewer, one new listener. So maybe they haven't heard it.
It's worth it.
When you travel a lot, Jonathan. So when you travel and it's end of a long day, you got to go get your baggage. If you check your baggage, and I know you carry stuff with you, when you travel, your audio equipment and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you're going to check your bag. And the worst thing is just sitting there waiting for that dang conveyor belt to start going off. Right.
Yeah. Right.
Well, in Houston, people were complaining about it a lot.
Wow.
And they were like, okay, well, I'm sure they brought a consultant in or something like that. We don't know the whole story, but we'll make it up for this show. So they bring a consultant in and they're like, all these people are complaining. Their bag's taking too long to get there when they get off the plane. So they crunch the numbers. Maybe it's Deloitte and Touche. Who knows who it is? They're like, all right, we've got your solution, gentlemen. Let's move the baggage claim further from the terminal. Well, let's make sure when your plane is parked further from the baggage claim.
Right.
Yeah.
And
sure enough, they remodeled the airport and they moved the gates further from the baggage claim.
Mm-hmm.
And baggage claim complaints about it taking too long went down.
I don't care about it being close to the terminal. I mean, how far is it from where you get off the plane, though? I mean,
well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like they moved it further from where you get off the plane.
Okay.
So you have to walk further. So it takes more time. So they have more time to get the bags there. So it takes the exact same amount of time to get the bags to the baggage claim.
Okay.
But it doesn't feel as long because you're not standing there waiting. You're making your way through the airport.
I see. So they're just making you. They're making you work.
It's pure perception.
It's all about it's all a mind game. So you're not not standing around waiting.
Yes.
Looking at your watch or just like looking at your phone, like, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet they lost it again.
Yeah. Where's my luggage? I've been staying here for 32 seconds. Why is it taking so long?
Which is why I hardly ever check my bags in anymore. I take everything with me,
Yeah. So I thought that was just like it's just so funny too. Cause like just human nature and like, You think there's probably people, if you interviewed them, they think the problem got fixed and they don't realize they're just walking further.
Yeah.
They're walking an extra 2 minutes because 2 minutes walking does not feel the same as 2 minutes standing.
No.
Yeah. If you're weaving
because
through
people, you're in motion, you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's why I will take, sometimes the long way around if I know there's going to be traffic in one direction, if I'm going somewhere.
Oh yeah.
But it's shorter. And even if the time is the same, I'll take the route that is less traffic because I feel like I'm making better progress, even if it's longer, as opposed to being
same thing happened. It's a great point. Same thing happened to me yesterday. There was a roadblock going home. They gave you a detour, which everybody was taking, which was just, it was just, it was taking forever. It was just bumper to bumper back up because everybody had to take the detour. So I kept thinking, I was patient enough, but man, I can't tell you how many times I thought in my mind, I'm just turning around, going the long way because I just hate sitting in here, sitting right here in traffic, waiting for this line to move when I can go, and I'll probably drive 20 minutes to get home. It'll take me 10 minutes sitting in this line, but I just hate sitting still.
But it feels faster because
it does. Moving. It feels fast. Yeah, you're moving. Right.
Yeah. And there's probably a marketing lesson in there that, somebody could figure out. Like, if you had a buying experience, like how do you keep people in motion?
Yeah.
Instead of making them wait for stuff.
Right.
Right. And I think that's why, some of these stores like Marshall's, I think Marshall's and TJ Maxx, they have the one line and then the multiple registers and you just kind of feed, as opposed to having like the grocery store where you got to really like figure out if you got the right line or not. And then you're like, oh crap, I ended up getting the wrong line. And now you're mad at yourself because you got the slow cashier.
Yeah.
There's something about the way they do that at Marshall's and TJ Maxx with that one line. It keeps it moving.
Right.
And I don't know if it's actually faster or not. It'd be an interesting study to find out.
Yeah.
But it does feel faster.
Yeah.
Plus they got stuff to look at along the way. Whereas, if you're in the grocery store, you've got whoever's unloading the belt, they've got the stuff to look at.
Right.
But then you're unloading the belt, so you don't really need stuff to look at. You need the stuff when you're further back.
Right.
But they can't extend that all the way back into the aisle. So I think grocery stores should do that too. They should put that one line to kind of cues people through. I think that'd be might make people. Of course, now you got to self-checkout everything, so that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah, where people steal stuff. I think I heard a couple of days ago Target's shutting down a lot of their self-checkouts now because people aren't swiping everything.
Yeah,
let's say, putting it in the bag. So
I'm sure the same. I'm sure the same is true at Home Depot because, Home Depot, you're usually buying some pretty good sized stuff, and they've got one little place for a bag. So most people are like taking stuff out, so they don't have like the super sensors where, the cameras and everything where you can, where it's by weight, like some of the other stores do. So I'm sure people are stealing left and right from Home Depot.
Yeah,
but man, saving $10 an hour on that employee, it's like, I just don't understand how that makes sense. But I think it's it's the same thing that they don't want people waiting in line. So at least if you keep them busy, it feels like, things are going faster.
I wonder about that with Chick-fil-A. If they, how most Chick-fil-A's have opened up 2 lines, but at some point, not everyone, but at some point it bottlenecks into one line. So, but they've got people thinking that it's moving faster by the initial 2 lines where you get to the drive-through and you've got 2 lines going. And so you feel like you're moving faster, but ultimately things kind of do bog down at that bottleneck where you're trying to figure out.
I think where it pays off is that one person every 5 or 6 cars that takes forever to figure out what they want to order, even though they've been there 5,000 times.
Right.
And they're like, there's 6 kids in the back of the car and they're like, what do you want? I think that's where it saves time.
Yeah. Right.
Because then you can get 2 or 3 cars on around that person.
Yeah.
But I think, probably overall it's not much faster. But it feels
makes you
faster.
feel like it feels faster.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you get your option. You can go either line sometimes.
Yeah.
And then you're looking the one with the least amount, and you're like, I'm getting over on this one. And then you realize that not really, because everything bogs down at the bottleneck where everybody's trying to figure out who goes next, in that single line.
Yeah, I remember when we lived in Dallas in like 97, 98, they did a study of people who lived out in the north suburbs of Dallas and were driving downtown every day. And they did a study like one car was like weaving in and out of traffic, trying to find the fastest lane, during rush hour to keep, how you do, you like, oh, this lane's move faster. Let me get over there. And, like playing Frogger or whatever.
How much time do they actually save?
And the other person just picked a lane and stayed in it the entire trip.
Right.
And it was like on a 45-minute commute, it was like 32 seconds difference or something.
Wow.
Like that.
Yeah.
It's just, but you feel like you're making progress,
Yeah. Yep.
Until you see that same car pass you, like back and forth, slinky style.
Yeah.
It's like
turtle in the hair. That's the way it is.
Yeah. So,
turtle in the hair.
Are you a lane changer? Or are you more of a stay in the same lane?
I used to be in my younger days. I would switch around. I'd be like Frogger.
Yeah.
But nowadays, not as much because I'm not in a hurry as much anymore.
Yeah. I tend to be more now as kind of one lane.
Yeah.
Tamer is still, how fast can I get there?
Yeah.
And now I'm still trying to beat the GPS. Don't get me wrong. But
of course. I am too.
Yeah. You got to beat the GPS numbers, but
3 hours. I can do that.
It's like, what was that show? Name That Tune.
Oh yeah.
I can name that tune in 3 notes. No, I can name that tune in 2 notes. I can beat the GPS by 3 minutes.
What's crazy is that old GPS, you think you're going to beat it, but you factor in, sometimes you don't factor in traffic. I usually don't factor that in because usually, I don't know if you use Google Maps or not, but a lot of times they factor that. I mean, that's already factored in.
Yeah, they know
because they got satellites. They know all of that way ahead of time,
and they know trends for Monday. Yeah, this time of day on a Tuesday, and like they know all that.
But sure enough, man, they must know human behavior too, because I'll make a pit stop. You got to make that pit stop, especially on a 3-hour trip.
Yeah,
you're going to make that Buc-ee's stop. Oh, Buc-ee's! Wait a minute. There's Buc-ee's.
Well, there goes an hour.
They just killed that. That 20 minutes you thought you were making up on Google Maps. Not anymore. Not anymore.
That should be Buc-ee's tagline: GPS killer. You stop in there. You're
clean bathrooms. GPS killer.
You thought you were going to make that GPS time?
Forget it.
Not so fast.
Oh man, I see that Buc-ee's sign. I'm exiting. Yes. I don't know what it is because it's like we're used to it by now, but still.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's something that just draws you in. It's like flies going into that electric.
It's
electric light.
Just zap you.
Yep.
Come out, you're all dazed. Spent $45 on beaver nuggets and barbecue, and it's like, I don't
barbecue sandwich.
I just needed to pee. Like, I don't know how that happened.
I just thought I was getting gas at one of their, 1,000 pumps, but
man, the first time I saw one of those places, man, I just could not believe. I thought Pilot was big,
Yeah.
The Pilot or the Loves.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And the first Buc-ee's I saw was like, oh my, like, is this legal? Can they do that? Can they?
They put this many pumps on this much land. The one over in you've not been over to Sevierville. You've not been over to Easton.
That's like the largest one, right?
The largest one, yeah.
I think they're rebuilding one here in Texas, right behind like one of the early ones they had. It's going to be the biggest, and it's going to stay the biggest. Like, it's in Texas, so it has to be
OG,
like the biggest. I don't know if it's going to be like 1 square foot bigger or whatever, so they can just claim that. But I heard the one in Pigeon Forge was just outrageous,
massive, huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you could land a Delta flight on that thing.
On the roof.
On the roof.
They might start doing that. And instead of our snack service today, we're going to be stopping at Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
You know,
just get some beaver nuggets, throw
land on the roof, go down, come back up. You'll have 22 minutes to make your selections.
There you go.
So, yeah. Who knows? So.
Oh man, gotta love them though. We love Buc-ee's. That's a good place.
Man, they're good stuff. Yeah, I could stop there. I've seen a couple videos now where like, I saw this one couple. They were RV or van life type couple, and they spent 24 hours in the Buc-ee's parking lot, and they ate every meal at Buc-ee's for that. For their 24 hours. And then you got the English guys that come over and they taste all the American food.
Right.
And they spent the day at Buc-ee's, and it's kind of funny.
I got to say the breakfast burrito, it's usually I get the brisket sandwich around lunchtime, but I've gotten the breakfast burrito, and it's really good.
Yeah.
So,
I mean I know some people are like, that's not real barbecue. And I'm like, man, it's pretty good. Like, you just being a hater because the food's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
It's just, some people are just haters. I mean, it's not as good as like some of the sit down downtown.
Yeah.
Like I went to this place in Austin last fall downtown. I can't remember the name of it, but man, best barbecue I ever had. But it was also like $30 a pound barbecue. Like,
right.
So, I mean, it's ridiculous, but yeah, man, good marketing, man. You get a good gimmick going.
It's hard to beat that.
The free
gas
press
station.
The press they get on social media is just insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just absolutely insane. So,
and the billboards are just brilliant.
Yes. Old Rock City style,
yep.
Back when Rock City used to go all the way north and south and east and west and all that. So
cleanest restrooms you'll ever see. I mean, it's not just what the billboards say. It's true.
It's a fact. Yeah.
Yeah. So
each one's like its own little racquetball court, got a full door, fully private.
Yep.
Yeah. Camp out in there if you want. So
if you need some fishing gear, stop on in their fishing section.
Pajamas, fishing gear, whatever you need. You don't have to leave. So
absolutely.
So all right, man. Well, good stuff.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you stretch 5 or 6 little ideas into an hour.
So back to our original Hooters. If you're looking for ideas, Buc-ee's, we throw up Buc-ee's, swipe screen, all that stuff.
Yeah. Mix and match those. We could create like a little bingo card or mix and match thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Make your own place.
Bingo.
All right.
Good stuff to all of our listeners. Find us over at persuasionbythepint.com. You can check us out on all of your fine podcast platforms, whatever you listen to. And it's been fun. Good flight today. And we'll see you all next week. We may have a guest. We may not. We may do another flight. Who knows? But we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.
See ya.